Alright, hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I was slightly late. I do think that I lost my... Oh, never mind, it's here. My lighter. Before we start, I will light a cigarette. Wait. And now I'm going to welcome my two guests, Comrade King from Russia. Comrade King?
Hello. Yeah. Go check out my channel. I have a YouTube channel. I make videos about history, such as socialist history, such as, for example, of post-on USSR, and yeah, just go check out my channel.
Right. Comrade King is a fellow Marxist from oligarch-occupied Russia. And Arhuna from the great New York State.
Yes, hello, I'm just a close friend of Hellas who invited me on for the stream.
Yes, he's my bottom bits. And we discuss American politics from time to time. He's Greek American.
Yep. Glad to be on.
With edgy statist views. So, we are starting, of course, with the great nation of America. President Biden signed and enacted 15 executive orders. And 2 directives as well. For the most parts, these will include, first of all, masks become mandatory, actually, for 100 days on all federal property. How do you view this resolution, my friend?
Well, I believe that masks should be mandatory, so more people won't get sick. I believe that since the US is an imperialist power, masks shouldn't be mandatory in the US, so the economy of the US will be weakened further.
Alright, interesting. Put Arjuna, the real American.
Yeah, as for the, especially in New York, we had a bunch of corona restrictions upheld once again, so, because our cases are rising again, so... Mm-hmm. A lot of people like to complain about the efficiency of masks. Like, I don't really see it as a big deal. Like, even if we were to take the case that they aren't efficient, like, it's just a mask, man. Don't complain. It's just a mask. Like, I don't see much of a big deal with wearing a mask. Like, sure, I personally got uncomfortable, but, you know, if they work, they work. So we should just at least uphold it so we could get through this mess.
Apparently, some Americans think it's a breach of private civil rights or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of, especially the conservatives here, think of that, and they like to contend the efficiency of the masks. Well, I haven't looked too much into it. I mean, I don't really care. It's just a mask. I just wear it. It doesn't bother me too much. Sure, I get irritated sometimes, but not much I can do. It's not a big deal. It's just a mask. Wear it. Get it over with. Within a few months, it'll be over.
Pretty adult point. The next... directives will be, of course, executive orders. America rejoins the World Health Organization, since Trump, acting like a child, removed America from the World Health Organization of the United Nations. A pretty immature decision from the former president. And of course, there is an end of deportations. Migrants will no longer be deported. There is like a halt on that, not an end of the legality, but more like a halt. No more migrants will be deported. Do you think, Arjuna, this is a good thing about American demographics and American manpower, all of that?
I'm a bit more strict on immigration personally, but we have a very, I'm trying to think of the correct word, a very rigid immigration system. It's very difficult to get in the country, which I do think we need to use reform. So I do think, for example, stopping deportations as of now will help with recalibrating a lot of our logistics, especially in the southern border, which is notoriously a mess with immigration and whatnot. So hopefully this can be on the road for an actual immigration reform, which we desperately need to, firstly curb illegal immigration, secondly actually provide an environment where we can have safe, efficient immigration, which helps everyone out.
Sounds excellent. as of now, the former president Donald Trump is unemployed. He lacks a job, and I'm going to read the job application of Mr. Trump. He says he is a 74 years old man searching for a job. 75 is it? Yeah. 75 years old man searching for a job. He has no previous experience with an actual job. And he cites knowledge of the English language as his only language skills, as well as previous job buying real estate and being a reality show clown. So please, if you have an open job for him, please apply. It's a rather unfortunate event that Mr. Trump will have to live on unemployment funds and a stimulus check from now on. Go on to my latest video. Trump gets a new job. If you're interested.
Proletarian Trump.
Yes, Trump is now proletarian, in fact. Alright.
Working class hero.
Of course. Next thing we have, of course, the border wall. This absolute clusterfuck of spending federal funds is brought to a halt. And if I remember correctly, for a slight section of the wall, they spend 15 billion US dollars. How do you view, Arjuna, this absolute spend of waste of tax-paying money to satisfy Trump's agenda on his lunatic crowd?
It's just ridiculous. I mean, if you want to, if you want to reduce immigration, you need to do better than just needlessly spend billions of dollars on a border wall, which was only not even half-ass constructed. It was only constructed only in a slight part of the border. It's not even that big of a fence. We already have a bunch of fences around it. It's a needless waste of money. Everyone knew that when Trump promised it, he was never going to fully realize it. Like, everyone knew that. He was just saying that because, a lot of the boomer conservatives were getting mad at, Mexicans coming up here. So he says we're going to build a wall because it sounds cool and, strong and all. So he got all the conservatives to vote for him.
15 billion on a section of a wall. Isn't that absolutely
How
ridiculous?
long is the section? How long is the section?
Like 2 miles or something? I might not have a complete view on that, but I heard something similar. I'm not reporting it as news. I reported it like something I overheard.
Okay.
It's not like something
Well-
I validate. Yes, go on.
Well, you gotta keep in mind, the US is an imperialist power, and this kind of weakens the US. It's ridiculous, it's a gigantic waste of money. If I'm not mistaken, I once read that it even hurt the economy, this entire wall, although it's only as you said, like 2 miles long.
Right.
Comedy King is just a butthurt Russian. Don't pay
All right.
attention.
Let's not go to
Fuck you.
to comments. Of course, also, Biden brings the Keystone XL pipeline to a halt, as promised. The Canadians are in complete autistic tantrum right now, even threatening sanctions. Do you think it's a good...
Wait, Canadian?
Yeah, the Canadians are in a tantrum because the Canadians export 830,000 barrels of oil to the US every day. So
Holy shit.
Biden halted that, and the Canadians now are in an autistical screeching. I think it's a very good thing that America is not going to import so much oil, because the Keystone XL pipeline, it was an absolute clusterfuck, because it didn't produce stable jobs, didn't create new jobs that would last for permanent situations, and at the same time it didn't reduce the US dependency on the Middle Eastern oil. So I think it's a very good thing that President Biden rejected the plans for that pipeline and discontinued it. Isn't that so?
I personally didn't read up much on the pipeline, so I'm not going to say much on it.
Fair enough. All right.
I don't know much about the pipeline either, but I have a question. Won't this mean that Canada will be doing imperialism in the United States?
I don't think so. They will probably
Foreign investment.
Yes.
It's nothing.
All right.
I mean, it will be very weird if Canada will do imperialism in the United States, as
I really
Canada
wouldn't
is
call it
way.
imperialism. It's consensual act of
Yeah.
a much stronger power being invested by one of its allies. Wouldn't call an act of imperialism or a
Well, technically, China says the same thing about African countries, but we all know that
Yeah,
this is not true.
of
Holy
course,
fuck.
but the what's it called? The distinguishment is that China is a much stronger power than all the African countries invest in. While the U.S. is the global hegemon, and Canada is a regional power. So there's all this power imbalance.
Yes, because Canada, of course, is part of the G7. They have a very advanced economy, but I don't think they can counter America. Canada's economy is
course.
At the same size of
Well-
Texas or California. So
Canadians got good stuff
Yes.
going on there, but compared to
Alright.
the rest of the U.S., of
let's
course.
move on. I will go back to Comrade.
Well, can I say something to this?
All right, go on.
Well, China also was pretty underdeveloped, just like 3 decades ago. But at this point, they themselves are doing imperialism in the United States. Like, there is this entire trade war going on because,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move
We
on.
know China.
Now we have the Muslim ban lifted. Apparently, Golda in my live stream believes that the Muslim ban is based. We have this kind of people, ladies and gentlemen, in the left as well.
Golda's in here. Hey, Golda, what's up,
yeah,
man?
he's in the live
Yeah, Golda's in the chat.
What's up, Golda?
What's up, Golda?
Go on.
So that's that. Now the Muslim ban is lifted, and something important. President Biden, who is your president if you're a right-wing snowflake, and that's a fact. President Biden, President Biden, just banned the former employees of the White House on lobbying, which is a great initiative, and I think it will limit the amount spent and political corruption. Quite a great initiative, I must say. And now we have a lot of people crying about Biden's foreign policy. And I have to remind them, ladies and gentlemen, that President Biden, being the vice president of President Obama, former President Obama, was the one who came up with the nuclear deal. And the Iran nuclear deal, in case you don't know, is a deal drafted by the United States that would mean that Iran would not be able to deploy or construct nuclear weapons in exchange for the sanctions to be lifted, Iran to be integrated to the global market, and at the same time they would receive something like a PAC, economic aid from the United States or something like that. Obviously, President Trump, former President Trump, couldn't bear it in mind that America would give them dollars to those damn Iranians, right? So he ended that nuclear deal and jeopardized the entire Middle East, since Iran would actively seek a pursuit alliance with Russia. Now, Comrade King, as we know, Russia has its own alliance, the CSTO, in which Belarus, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan are members. And if I'm not incorrect, Iran did file for an observer member, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So you have, due to Trump's absolute inept to govern, you have Iran going closer and becoming almost an ally of Russia and entering the Russian sphere in the Middle East that is expanding. Thankfully, if President Biden concludes the Iran nuclear deal, we will have a stronger cooperation with Iran in the global market economy and not have another country fall under Russian influence. I think Mr. Putin will not be very happy with that. And
Well, I think that
yeah, go on.
I think that Russia will still have a lot of economic influence on Iran in the Middle East, because even under Obama, when the Iran nuclear deal was happening, they still tried to join the Eurasian Union. They expressed interest in joining it. If you want, I can send you an article about that. It's pretty old, but still.
All right. After the stream, you can send the article, and I might read it personally. Let's move on. Of course, we have Magapidis and accelerationists crying strongly since President Biden came up with a very radical left-wing agenda to aid the people in America. Apparently, accelerationists believe that President Biden would be a president that doesn't hold his word, but we see in his first day in office, he signed new executive orders, such as, let's see, President Biden.
Didn't he also increase taxation?
King, just a minute.
Okay.
President Biden halts all student debt until September the 30th. And President Biden halts any evictions until March 30th. Until the end of March, and there will be no more evictions, and until the end of September, all student debt is halted, which is an excellent initiative, as well with his plan to give $1,400 in his stimulus package that has been raised to $2,000 as the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, that will be Mr. Sanders, has come up with this initiative to increase it to $2,000 US. Before we go to Comrade King, Arjuna, what do you believe about the new stimulus package, and do you think President Biden kept his word in his left-wing agenda to end evictions and student debt?
I'll be right back, so ask Comrade King on this real quick. Just give me a minute, please.
Go on, Comrade King.
So, you're asking me what I think of his so-called left-wing economic reforms, right?
If you don't want to call it left-wing, let's call it progressive, at least.
Yeah, like social democratic economic reforms actually help capitalism sustain itself. If you look at the falling rate of profit, you'll see that more laissez-faire, more free economics make capitalism collapse faster. So I don't really like the fact that Biden is doing these economic reforms. And also, can I say something about his foreign policy?
All right, go on.
I think that his foreign policy is a mixed bag. I mean, he made a lot of good promises about his foreign policy. Like, for example, he promises to withdraw from Libya. He also opposed the 2011 Libya invasion when Obama was in power, and he also wants to withdraw from Yemen and Afghanistan. Though Obama also claimed to withdraw from Afghanistan, but never did that. So these are good things about Biden, or at least good promises. I'm not sure if he will execute them, but there are also bad things about his foreign policy. He, for example, wants to increase involvement in Donbass and in Syria, and you can also already see on day 2 of his rule that he's already increasing involvement in Syria, like American involvement. He's moving tanks in and stuff into Syria, and he also wants to pressure Russia more. So he won't be really good for Russia. Although to be honest, Trump also wasn't really that good for Russia, because Trump actually increased sanctions on Russia 11 times more. So yeah.
Yes, President Trump was not a man of his word, but we see that President Biden keeps his word, and he already...
Well, we'll see if he'll keep his word about his foreign policy.
Alright, fair enough, but he kept his word as of the cancelling the student debt, or just halting it for now, and of course ending all evictions, which is a major reform. Don't you think this is an excellent initiative, since a lot of working class Americans were evicted from their homes, being unable to pay, losing their jobs because of COVID, and a lot of students were dangerously indebted? I think that You may call it social democratic, but it's what benefits the Russian people. And as left-wing socialist people, we need to uphold these ideals that no working man shall lose his home, no student shall be indebted for life for wishing to pursue an academic career. And that's how the things are. Arjuna, are you back? Apparently not. Back to you, Comrade King. Don't you think that we should stand President Biden on his reforms?
That we should support them.
Yes, because they benefit working class Americans. And
Well, I already talked about this. I'd say no because I think that I think that this would benefit the economy of the U.S. It would make it stronger. And if it would make capitalism survive longer. If they make more laissez-faire economic policies in the U.S., then capitalism will collapse faster in the U.S. It will hurt the U.S. and so on. You can see this by looking at the falling rate of profit of countries. More centralized and more social democratic policies lead to more stable economies. So I believe that as a whole we should just hurt any imperialist power. So we should just oppose Biden's economic reforms.
I think that our principle here is that we should help every American, every working class American, even if that means that we should collaborate with the existing bourgeoisie. Because if they wish
Well,
to help the Americans,
that's class collaboration,
I'm
and
so
it's not
sorry about
Marxist.
that. I'm so
Alright.
sorry I'm back.
it's understandable.
What I miss?
Apparently, Golda Meir tells me that I should stop thinking black and white. But this is the entire principle of Marxism. Without white, there is no black. Without black, there is no white. This is the entire philosophy of dialectics. There is no good without bad. So, yes, there is only black and white. And I know that you want to go on these very liberal, open-minded opinions that, oh, they're both truths and all sides are truth. No, there is only a singular truth. And without good, bad doesn't exist. Without black, white doesn't exist. And we need to do whatever in our hands to help working class Americans, even if that means that we should put up with some social democratic reforms. Go on,
I mean, I have
Arjuna.
I have no issue with social democracy in and of itself. I'm not a Marxist. I'm not as radical in the whole working class thing, but I'm not like someone who wants to genocide the working class. Obviously, social democracy is a step up from full-on laissez-faire. Also, obviously, it will be beneficial to the workers since they literally won't be starving anymore. And overall, it does allow, for example, a country like the USA to get itself back on the road after we've been very. 1 minute.
All right. Well, that would be unfortunate. I wanted to inquire more our guest on stimulus checks. For now, let's hop in the chat. Chris.
Sorry about that.
All right, you're back. We'll go back to Chris Professor in a while. Right now, Arjuna, you were saying that it's something beneficial. Do you think that America could transform into a social democracy since the progressives are going more popular among the younger people?
If you mean by like a European style social democracy, I don't think it could fully transform into that, but I do think there can be strides made in fixing our healthcare system, our social networks. That would be something we can do, something we should do. And no matter how much the conservatives are going to cry about it, it's not going to be like an evil communist takeover. It's literally just going to be applying something which even China has done to the US.
Did you receive? Did you receive your stimulus check or not yet?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't think New York has one yet.
All right. I hope you do receive.
Imperial Europe.
Yeah,
is
but
not
like
so
if we don't
good.
get my stimulus check, I just hope Yangle wins for that free UBI.
That's right. I do hope you get your stimulus check and buy a lot of goods with it, since it will stimulate the economy and help a lot of businesses.
Free stuff, man.
Yeah, free stuff.
Free stuff, like come on, man. That's
Yeah.
why I say vote Yang if you're in New York. He gives us free shit. Like come on, bro.
Does
Who
Yang
doesn't
have
want free
a
stuff?
strong foothold? in?
If I'm gonna be all honest, I have not looked too much into it, but I just hope he wins personally.
All right.
I just hope he wins.
That will be all with that. Let's move to another subject. Comrade King, you want to say something?
No, not really.
All right. Before I move further, I will go to my viewer, Chris Profession, and he said that to say that Joe Biden is a leftist or a social democrat is paranoia. We have to treat him as a class opponent because putting hope on him will end very badly. Let me tell you here, Buster, President Biden, this great man, has signed over thousands, millions of stimulus checks. He's taking control of the economy. He is halting student debt. He's halting evictions. He's a man of the people. And even if he's not left-wing or social democrat, he's surely progressive. And he's a man of his word. He went with a left-wing agenda. He won the elections. This is what the American people voted for. 81, is it 81, 82? Million Americans voted for him. And now he's delivering on his promises. You have to give the man credit. You have to say, look, he does it good. He did what he said he would. He didn't trick us. As we said previously with Comrade King, Trump said he will not put further sanctions to Russia. What happened? Trump put sanctions on Russia.
Yeah.
Trump said he's not going to attack Assad. Trump attacked Assad. He bombed Syria twice, or even more.
Well, he later wanted to withdraw from Syria, but the Democratic Senate rejected his proposal, so he couldn't really do that. Now Biden is increasing involvement in Syria, and is gonna help. It's gonna. He said that Assad should be overthrown.
Right. That will be an interesting development in the area. Although I don't think America is too late to go on and kick Assad's ass. It's way too late for that. So I don't think they should do anything likewise. Right. I wanted also, you mentioned that actually President Biden, when he was a senator and later vice president, he opposed the Iraq war as well as the war in Libya. And
I actually mentioned this already. Like,
yes,
he when people were arguing about the 2011 Libya invasion, Biden actually opposed the Libya invasion. But when it actually happened, he supported it. And later in 2016, he actually said that they shouldn't have invaded Libya, and now he's saying that the US should just withdraw from Libya altogether.
yes.
And
And the man
yeah,
is actually against the Yemen war as well. He's against the war in
yeah,
Yemen.
that's what I said. Well, but that's not like anything special. Like many Democrats are against the war in Yemen. Under Trump, if you can remember, the Democrats actually passed a proposal which was about ending the war in Yemen. However, it was rejected by Trump, so the U.S. didn't withdraw from Yemen. Yeah.
All right. Before we go to the other parts of the world, especially Russia, let's ask our friend Huna here about the American military-industrial complex. Arhuna,
All right. So
give us your
our
input.
yeah. All right. So our military is it's basically our main form of projecting power. Now that China is taking over through soft power, we rely more on hard power and the diplomatic relations with which our hard power guarantees us. For example, in the EU, you guys rest under our military umbrella, which I have no problem with. I'm fine with that. If you guys want to, keep with us and allow us to protect you, I'm fine with that. But the thing is, with our military, ever since then in the Cold War, ever since even before the Cold War ended, we've been bloating it exponentially, just funding it billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. Well, obviously we need a good and strong military. Overspending is also an issue because the moment you start spending over a certain a certain quota of money on it, it just becomes inefficient, needless wasting of money. So the military industrial complex just gets inflated, just keeps on getting inflated with needless stuff that we don't need. And I remember reading a report from the Pentagon which predicted that by 2040 or 2050, something around like that, the U.S. military had actually become so overbloated that it won't be able to sustain itself anymore because just how much we've bloated it, how much we are bloating it, how much we will continue to bloat it. So obviously, while I do maintain we as the global hegemon, I want to keep us like that. We should maintain a strong military. Curbing the military-industrial complex and curbing our over-expenditure will be basically necessary to assuring our survival in the long run. Because if we don't fix that, well, if the Pentagon's predictions come true, we're gone. We're done for, basically.
All right. How about the Ukraine issue? Should we go and kick Russia's ass or let them play around?
For Ukraine, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really care about Ukraine, but I'm also anti-Russia, so I'm fine with fucking around in Ukraine just to spite Russia.
I think we should poke Russia as well in their playground, at least in Russia. And
Dude, that's U.S. imperialism.
I know it is, man.
Yeah, but like Hellas is a Marxist-Leninist. He should oppose what the U.S. is doing in Donbass.
I said the Americans shouldn't actually interfere in Ukraine. Aside going deep into Russian sphere of influence, I believe that the Ukrainians are very dangerous and they have some elements of neo-Nazi paramilitaries in their government.
Yeah, actually, they
had a problem with that. Yeah,
the Ukraine back in 2014 was couped by the U.S. and Poroshenko was put in power.
Such influence on that. It was more like a Euromaidan, and I actually
it wasn't really. I can send you a phone call between U.S. politicians that were talking about a coup in Ukraine. I think it's called the Nulan 5, the Nulan 5 call. You can just type in on YouTube Nulan 5 leaked phone conversation complete with subtitles, and then you can look about how America could Ukraine. And this is the U.S. is actually also responsible for now neo-fascist groups in Ukraine now fighting in Donbass.
I don't want to get sued. I don't endorse that. But I understand your convictions there, your strong convictions. I think America shouldn't meddle with Ukraine, but at the same time, I think there should be a strong sanctions against Russia for providing paramilitaries with equipment to shoot down a European airliner that costed the lives of hundreds of European citizens. This is unacceptable, and Europe, as a superpower, should teach Russia to behave according to international law and not provide paramilitaries with weapons to aim at civilian targets. At the same time, I don't think we should engage more with Ukraine.
Is that? Do you have a source for that? Because I've never really heard of civilians being attacked by Russian paramilitaries in Europe.
All right, I will provide a source.
And even then, I think that I believe that we should still oppose the EU. I believe that the EU shouldn't sanction Russia because Russia is an anti-imperialist power, whereas the
US the anti-imperialist power. I think Russia is maybe the most dangerous imperialist power.
Did you just say that they're the most dangerous imperialist power? I think that
opinions. I think Russia's aggressive foreign
the US is objectively the most imperialist power and most dangerous one on earth. This is objective.
I love looking at the Russian cope about the US. I'm just getting my convictions, Russian tears, just tasting.
To my convictions, and according to the manifesto of the Party for the Reorganization of the Communist Party in Greece, the Russian axis, the Russian-Chinese axis, is probably more dangerous than the American.
The Russian what?
The Russian-Chinese axis, the axis of the Shanghai Pact, is actually more dangerous according to the Party for the Reorganization for the Communist Party of Greece, is actually a more dangerous faction towards world peace and imperialism than the Americans and NATO. That coming according to that the Party for the Reorganization of the Communist Party in Greece.
Yeah, except that Russia is not imperialist. You call look at data. The monopolies are all state owned, or at least almost so. And Putin himself said that there shouldn't be private monopolies in Russia. He said that there should be state
You have
monopolies.
such a stupid definition of imperialism. I swear, this Leninist definition is autistic.
No, okay. So let's define imperialism then.
Define
Imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism.
That's so stupid. This is the Leninist definition, which I critique all the time.
Yeah, and I use the Leninist definition because I'm a Marxist-Leninist.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's retarded.
Okay, it's retarded. It's retarded to you.
So why are you using it?
No, I said it's retarded to you, but it's not retarded to me.
Okay, but why do you think it's not? Why do you think it's not retarded? Because if anything, just like a huge cop out to literally disqualify only bourgeois capitalist countries as imperialist, which
you can actually if you read Imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism by Lenin, you will see that he also said that
yeah. Obviously he doesn't. Of course he says imperialism has existed before capitalism, but it's
listen. He said that feudalism can also be imperialist.
Of course it can. Any system can be imperialist.
Yeah, except for socialism.
Socialism can be imperialist because I'm not going by your
the Soviet Union, after the revisionist coup by Khrushchev, became socialist.
There was no revisionist
coup. I just maintain it was always imperialist because I go by the more traditional definition of imperialism, but you could argue about your Leninist definition because it just doesn't concern me.
So
if I go by...
Comrade Hellas, can I actually comment on that? I know that...
Just a minute. So... right now, I'm putting a source that's by BBC that shows the Malaysian 17 flight and its destruction by Russian armed paramilitaries in Ukraine. And this is the reason.
In Ukraine, you said in Europe.
No, it was a plane. It had 298 passengers and crew members, as you can see on my stream right now, and most of them were.
Wait 1 second, I'll turn on your stream.
European citizens, and it was shot down by Russian paramilitaries. Furthermore, there is a video of evidence that show that Russian-backed militia in Ukraine were the perpetrators, and we have a video about that you can see. It's on my stream right now. You can see the flight and its destruction.
So this was shut down by Russian paramilitary?
Yes, it was shut down by Russian paramilitary. A lot of European citizens were harmed and lost their lives. These 193 Dutch nationals that were Dutch citizens going to Malaysia. As you can see. So I think European Union sanctioning Russia is justified, and if Russia wants to arm paramilitaries and continue this blatant
that was actually debunked by an article already, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was this one. Here, I'm not sure if I can chat on the stream, but I'll just send it there as well. I just sent it there. So people can check it out. It pretty much debunked the Western narrative on it, and I'd also like to comment a few things about your claims. You said that Nikita Khrushchev did a coup after Stalin died. That's actually false. I know that video by Fimbo. Fimbo just misquoted a Western journalist called Salisbury. Salisbury actually said that the
Your mic cut off.
Hello? Yeah,
things
it cut off. It's pity because
and he said Salisbury said that the
oh my.
And it goes
were
again.
there to protect were there to protect Stalin's body from
All right.
from being done.
Let's move on to current news since Comrade King's
If
mic
you want
is
to
keep
like
cutting.
argue about Khrushchev,
Okay,
do it
okay,
another time.
okay. Current news. Okay.
All right. Let's move to current news.
okay.
Right now we have Navalny returning to Russia, and he has been detained by the authorities there. I'll go first to Arhuna to have a short remark. The United States condemned this as a disregard for civil liberties. Do you think there should be further action taken against Russia for detaining Alexander Navalny?
I don't really know too much about Navalny, but if he was in Russia, I mean, I don't really care. Russia can do what they want. They're going to keep on doing this regardless of what we say. Not much for me to say on it because I have not looked into it much.
Right, and we have Chris Professor saying if he had to predict, he would say to use the counter-terrorism law to shut down any further protest as a result of class consciousness once spread. Kirill Kniazev says that something in Russian, and then he concludes that Donbass is part of Russian imperialism. It is like Kosovo. Right, Comrade King, what do you think on the Navalny issue? Where do you stand?
What's the question again? Sorry, I couldn't hear you that well.
Alexander Navalny has been detained by Russian authorities upon returning to Russia on a flight to Moscow.
So you mean that he can't come to Russia right now?
He arrived to Russia and he has been detained by the Russian authorities.
What does detained mean? Sorry.
Arrested. Arrested, basically.
Oh. Well, actually, Putin talked about why he's constantly jailing Navalny. He's actually a far right extremist. I can show a picture. He actually attends Russian nationalist marches on a yearly basis. I sent it in the Discord group in that we are in right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can show it to the stream as well.
Okay.
He also said, what?
I will actually to have because I want this to be like more of a free speech thing, so I want resources to go on as well.
Yeah, and Navalny also has said a lot of bad things about minorities in Russia. For example, he called Central Asians, Jews, and Caucasians racial slurs. He called Jews Zhidy, Central Asians Chuchmeki, and Caucasians Churki.
Are those like slurs?
Yeah, those are racial slurs, like the N word. Yeah,
you can see a stream right now. We can see a stream with Navalny joining a Russian nationalist protest. I would also like to comment that to me the arrest of Navalny seems like the arrest of Lenin. Not to compare these men. Lenin was a great revolutionary. Navalny is a vlogger, according to Russians. I do support disturbing Russian peace because I think to succeed in Russia, the communists, who are the second biggest political force, they need to destabilize Russia and cause civil unrest. So that is a good thing to me because Russians now will be angry towards Putin, and with Putin being losing ground and moral authority, and his party facing strong opposition in the upcoming elections, I think it's very crucial that Navalny was detained. It shows that many Russians may think twice before voting. Now, let's not have false beliefs. Navalny is also a Russian nationalist. He also wants to project... I will go to you, Comrade King, just a minute. He also wants to project Russian foreign power. His whole movement is more like against corruption, which is a good thing. But Navalny is also the same type of a Russian nationalist. So don't have any believes that he's going to make significant changes, I think we should support him only because he's going to destabilize Russia. Comrade King?
Okay, sure. I didn't end my sentence before. He also Navalny said that when he comes to power, he will deport all Central Asians, all Muslims, and all Caucasians from Russia, especially Georgians. And he said, if I'm not mistaken, it was in like 2013 that better than the Muslim Caucasians because they are Christians. So he's very bad, and
Damn, Comic
he
King
also
sounds like your type of guy.
fuck off. well,
Yes.
Sounds
well,
like your
he
type of
said
guy.
he said he also wants to restrict the rights of other minorities and wants to deport around 70% of migrants in Moscow. He's very racist. He's very religious bigoted, and he is very ethno.
I find it
arguing
funny
that,
Comic King of all people's complaining about religious bigotry.
That's
I'm
actually
sorry.
very fun. Alright, let's
Why?
move on now and let's go
Well,
to
no,
Russia.
no.
Let's go to Russia.
Oh wait,
first.
okay, okay.
Go to where?
Russians are going to have an election upcoming. Comrade King, when will that election take place?
It will happen, if I'm not mistaken, in September 2021. September 2021. That's when the Russian legislative election will happen. It's not the Russian.
Your mic cut for a second.
Yeah, cut again.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Of course, we can hear you, but it keeps cutting, which is unfortunate because we want to talk about Russia right now. And
Wait, what? Okay, let me rejoin. 1 second.
all right, of course.
Okay, anyway, I'm here now. Is it better now?
So far, so good. Continue.
Okay, so it's gonna happen on the 19th of September 2021. It's a legislative election, it's not a presidential election. So it's not about choosing the president, it's more choosing about the prime minister and stuff like that. And
You said 19th September?
yeah, 19th of September
Oh, wow.
2021.
That's my second anniversary.
Oh!
Very cool. I guess I won't be watching the Russian elections much since I will be on a dinner. But
Okay,
that's
okay.
that.
Okay, so Putin won't be in this, but anyway, the three biggest parties in Russia, excluding United Russia, will all unite. So the Communist Party of the Russian Federation, the Liberal,
Coalition?
no, they will create one gigantic party. They will all
Wait,
merge.
really?
Because they want to beat Medvedev and United Russia.
Yes, this is actually a
basically.
massive coalition. Comrade King has informed us that Zhirinovsky and Zyuganov, among others, will be
Yeah, the Communist Party of the.
against
Yeah, I can.
Medvedev.
Yeah, I can name all the parties.
Go on.
That will unite into one. The Communist Party of the Russian Federation, the Liberal Democratic Party of the Russian Federation, A Fair Russia, the Patriots of Russia, and if I think it's called For Truth. I'm not sure. Basically, these parties are all trying to unite. It was a suggestion by the leader of A Just Russia, aka A Fair Russia. So yeah, and now they're gonna fuck up Medvedev probably.
Well,
I hope they will.
I'm looking forward to that. That will be epic.
Yeah. So I myself, many Russians like Putin, but they don't like Medvedev because obviously Medvedev is retarded. I hate him. Well, anyway, he's very corrupt and stuff like that. So he might lose the next election. Right now, this coalition of parties, or I guess this one future united party, is polling right now in total at like 28%, which is the same as United Russia. So Medvedev is fucked. But anyway, I'd also like to address some things that you said before. You said that Navalny's arrest would cause civilian unrest.
Yeah, there are riots in Moscow. There are riots right now.
Well, yeah, there are a few riots, but it's not that bad. And this is actually pretty bad because this is a far right extremist.
Of course, I don't support Navalny, but I think it's good to destabilize Russia. And after Putin's permanent resignation or death, then the communists will be able to take power there.
Yeah, and I disagree with and I disagree with destabilizing Russia as Russia is an anti-imperialist power, and
I think Russia is the greatest threat in imperialist affairs.
Anyway, you mentioned that. I'd also like to elaborate why Russia is an anti-imperialist power. As I said before,
keep it short. I will let you speak. Keep it short. I give you like a minute or two. Go on.
Okay. Putin opposes private monopolies. He wants state monopolies to exist instead of private monopolies. State monopolies dominate the Russian economy, and there isn't really any Russian economies exploiting the natural resources of other countries or something like that. Syria happened because Assad asked Putin for help, whereas Crimea was a legal referendum signed by the minister of Crimea, who was elected in 2010. So that's when it was still part of Ukraine. Ой, блин.
Is that so? All right. Arhuna, you get your minute now uninterrupted on why Russia is an imperialist power and must be combated.
Okay, so Comrade King is obviously going with the typical Leninist definition of imperialism. I contend that definition of imperialism. I go for a more rudimentary, more fundamental definition of one collective or one group going against another for their own interests. Russia obviously does this. It's doing this in Ukraine. It's financing Russian rebels to fight against Ukraine. I consider that an act of imperialism since the Russian group using force and other means to further its own interests at the expense of Ukrainians. And while you can argue, oh, but Ukrainians are just Russians, yeah, but it doesn't matter if they still identify with another group they are in. So it's still an act of imperialism. I don't care about like your stupid Leninist spurging. I just think it's outdated. It's a cope. That's all it is. Russia is imperialist. Almost every country that will do imperialism. So stop being retarded with Lenin's definition.
I forgot to mention that also Biden is joining the Paris Climate Accord, which is epic.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to go for it.
Just a minute.
Okay.
So Biden will be joining the Paris Climate Accord, which is epic. People in the chat were calling for a new Green Deal. I think that's an excellent initiative. Arhuna, a couple of seconds to tell us about the Green New Deal and if you support it. Arhuna?
I'm sorry, say that again?
A couple of seconds to explain us the Green New Deal and whether you support it or not.
Oh boy, the Green New Deal. I remember when I first learned about it, I was weird in terms of my politics. I was still like a Trump supporter back then, so I had a very biased view of it. I have yet to reanalyze it, but I think the overall sentiment of wanting to cut down on carbon emissions, stuff like that, is very good. I'm an environmentalist. I don't think we need to kill the Earth. We shouldn't kill the Earth, obviously, but I have yet to reanalyze it since my days of being a pro-Trump, like more pro-Trump and biased towards that and whatnot. So I don't think it's safe for me to.
Should America move to renewable sources of energy and nuclear energy?
If we have the capacity to, 100%.
And it will also lower your dependency on for imports, and it will do good.
If it's possible, I need to research into whether or not we can transition efficiently. And if we can, we should 100%.
Fair enough. Comrade King, do you have any closing statements to make? Oh wait, before that, I would like also to say my own version of imperialism. I think it's very funny because Comrade King is using some Leninist version. Arhuna calls his version traditional. Meanwhile, I use a more Maoist version of imperialism. And it's fun that we have complete different opinions on that subject.
Can you tell me what your definition of imperialism is?
I do think that you are right that imperialism is a more advanced capitalism, but at the same time I can see that other countries that are not capitalist or pre-capitalist can also use imperialism. For example, feudal states can use imperialism as well as some socialist, quote socialist states, such as the Soviet Union. That they use
Also,
social imperialism.
I should clarify that I do agree with that. Capitalism will always evolve into imperialism.
Of course.
If given the chance, it will always evolve into. I'm not denying
I'm not
it.
denying it,
Oh,
but at the same time,
yeah.
I'm saying that some socialist states, like the Soviet Union, used social imperialism to advance their sphere of influence, as
Yeah,
well
and
as
I think that's. I
feudal
think
states.
that's. And as for like the Soviet Union, I think it will always. Well, I don't know if you want to call it devolve or evolve. I think it will always occur. It will always happen with socialist states, since they may keep like an anti-imperialist aesthetic or agenda. But at the end of the day, politics is a zero-sum game. They either do what they need to keep themselves afloat, or they're gonna get dunked on by the West.
All right,
So
Comrade King, any
Hellas,
closing statements?
Hellas, you said that feudal states can do imperialism. That's actually what Lenin said. He said that there are different forms of imperialism. He said that there is slave imperialism, feudalist imperialism, and capitalist imperialism. Capitalism is the highest stage of imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism. However, socialism cannot be imperialist. Or do you think that Stone era USSR was social imperialist?
No, I think it was the more anti-imperialist power because they opposed imperialism worldwide.
That's what the USSR did. That's what the USSR did until like 1987, dude. That's not really.
No, I believe that the coup d'état instigated by Khrushchev made Russia social imperialist.
I just explained you the coup. That there was none. The video that you saw by Pinball is wrong. He misquoted a Western journalist called Salisbury, and Salisbury actually said that the thought of there being a coup was a fleeting thought, and the tanks that were in Moscow were actually there to protect Stone's body.
All right.
So
you can take it with Pinball. Let's wrap it up. We can talk about it in another.
Yeah, like if you want to have a stream about Khrushchev,
Exactly.
I mean that'd be great.
Okay.
So make a closing statement, then Arjuna, then I will close this off. Since it's
Okay.
an hour now.
Okay. Anyway, so we were just talking about Russia and Ukraine and stuff like that. Imperial mentioned that Russia finances the rebels in Donbass. That's actually not true. Russia just trains the rebels since.
Okay, whatever. Trains finances, they're still propping them up in some way, shape, or form. They don't have to finance them to necessarily support them. They're training them, as you said, which is still a form of helping them.
Okay, they do help them a bit, but they don't really finance them.
Yeah, they help them by training them, which is actually pretty important. So that's why I still consider them geopolitically supporting the Donbass, which it's in their interest to do it, an act of imperialism, as I explained before.
King,
I don't use your spurgy definition of imperialism.
Thank you. Comrade King, for Christ's sake, make a closing statement. Let's wrap it up.
Wait, we're on stream?
Okay.
Like a closing, make a statement. A closing statement. We will wrap it up.
You said that we will also talk about COVID.
Yes, of course.
Well. Anyway, I want to say one last statement about Putin. You said that his approval ratings will drop, that his popularity will drop. That actually happens every few years that his approval ratings drop, but eventually they always go up. This is nothing new.
Do you think Medvedev will be defeated?
Medvedev, yes, he will definitely be defeated. Nobody really likes him.
All right. Arjuna, closing statements.
Truly on the Biden part, I'm fine with Biden. I think he's gonna be a bit better. COVID restrictions are good. Stop spreading corona. As for Russia, contain Russia. I'm not a fan of Russia. I don't care if you Russians want to cope or whatever. I don't care, CK, for some anti-imperialist power. It doesn't concern me. can keep on coping with that because we flex on you. So I mean, that's basically it.
All right, stay in the stream, stay in the call, guys, while I'm closing the stream. All right, thank you for joining us. This was Comrade Hellas. My guests were Arjuna from the New York State and Comrade King, a fellow Marxist YouTuber from Russia with controversial views. You can view his channel on YouTube and subscribe if you like. Thank you for joining me. We are celebrating my 4,000 subscribers, the 4K millennial. Thank you for joining me. Have a good evening, rest of your evening, night, afternoon, wherever you're from the world. Good.
Bye.
Bye.